There's some nice pros about living in Nampa, Idaho, but also some serious cons that have driven people away from the area, and I'm going to tell you about them right now. I've got a bunch of different things about living in Nampa that I want to cover, but I'm going to do it differently than many of the other pros and cons videos that you've probably seen. Instead of telling you which things are pros and which things are cons, I'm going to lay them all out, say some positive things and some not so positive things. The biggest gripe that many people have about living in Nampa is that it's too industrial. And if you're simply driving on I-84 through Nampa, you'll notice that there are in fact a lot of industrial facilities. If you don't get off the freeway, then it can be easy to think that Nampa is just a bunch of warehouses, but in reality, they only line about the first block of the interstate. Because of this, it keeps the truck traffic and anything that goes along with the operations right there next to the freeway, so you don't have big rigs coming through neighborhoods. Few things to take into consideration with these facilities: they may be a little unsightly and the traffic isn't ideal. However, there are a ton of job opportunities provided by these places, especially the huge Amazon distribution facility. Another thing is that these big concrete buildings actually do a great job of blocking out all of the traffic noise from the interstate. I don't know how you feel about these, but for me, I see it as a net positive and it really doesn't bother me that much. You may have heard rumors that Nampa has a smell, and that is going to be attributed to the amalgamated sugar beet factory. Just for starters on this, it does put off some smell when it's processing beets throughout the winter, so it isn't all year round, but even at that, the smell isn't displeasing to me at all. It's a sweet, starchy smell if you're driving by the factory on the downwind side. One thing about Nampa that is growing rapidly is its proximity to the Sunny Slope area. Historically, it's been comprised of mainly fruit orchards, but over the last several years, the area has slowly started changing from orchards to vineyards and is gaining its claim to fame. So if you like wine and going on wine tasting tours, there are several places that you definitely need to check out. Nampa is home to the Deer Flat National Wildlife Refuge and Lake Lowell. The lake has a ton of different purposes for everyone. It was initially constructed as a reservoir just to hold irrigation water for farmers to utilize in the area, and it is actually still used for that to this day. Aside from that, it provides a ton of different activities for people throughout the year, from boating, water skiing, jet skiing, tubing, and fishing, to kayaking, swimming, and paddleboarding. There are a ton of hiking trails on the north side of the lake that you can bike, walk, or even take your horse. During the fall and winter months, there are actually certain areas of the lake that are open to hunting. There's a controlled deer hunt that goes on at the lake, and they don't give out many tags for that, but the majority of people just utilize it for duck hunting. Although if you're going to duck hunt there, I recommend going during the week because it is an absolute war zone on the weekends with all the people out there. Nampa also has the Forward Idaho Center. It's a huge event venue that hosts all sorts of gatherings throughout the year, from concerts to bazaars to gun shows and sporting events. But the most popular event there has to be the Snake River Stampede. It's a huge NFR rodeo that goes on every single year here in Nampa with famous bull riders from around the world. So if seeing some world-class rodeo riders is your thing, you'll definitely love the Stampede. But of course, with a huge event center and large events comes the traffic that it brings when things are going on. I've seen it several times where the traffic is backed up from the Idaho Center all the way up Idaho Center Boulevard and back onto Interstate 84. What some people don't realize about Nampa is that home prices in Nampa are consistently more affordable than many of the other cities in the Boise area like Star, Meridian, and Eagle. You can typically expect similar homes in Nampa to be around $100,000 less for the exact house 15 minutes east in Meridian. So as I've had many clients come into the area and they originally want Meridian, they start looking at Meridian homes and Meridian prices, and then they let their eyes wander a little bit to homes in Nampa and see the price difference for the homes in Nampa versus homes in Meridian. They completely shift their search for just a 15 to 20 minute drive time. In comparison to many of the other cities in the Boise area, Nampa has a much larger amount of small acreage properties than, say, Boise or Meridian. It has been becoming increasingly popular over the last several years for people who want a smaller farm just to raise a cow or backyard chickens for food, and I've helped several people purchase their little home on the range in Nampa. It's kind of funny, I've been told that owning backyard chickens is like the gateway drug to becoming a conspiracy theorist. Why are the yolks a different color? Why do the eggs taste better? And on and on. In addition to this, I know many people who not only raise a cow for themselves for food, but they raise cattle for other people, and it's very common to essentially pre-order a cow. People will buy a cow from somebody in the spring when it's still a calf, and then they'll butcher it in the fall, and then they'll get the meat, whether it's a half cow or a quarter cow or something like that. The biggest thing about that so many people like is you get to see how your food is raised, where it's living, and it's local. And you're supporting the community. The entire Boise area was very heavily involved in the agricultural scene at one time. As towns grew and subdivisions popped up, commerce has changed for the bigger cities, but Nampa still has a large amount of agriculture and farming going on. Even though many would see open fields and think there are no jobs, the ag industry in the area employs tens of thousands of people. Some of the biggest employers in the area are Simplot, Agribeef, and Syngenta. A common thing that I've seen online about Nampa, and it is completely not true, is that there isn't much shopping in Nampa. Now, if you're looking for some fancy Lululemon store or Louis Vuitton or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, you're definitely not going to find it here. We have what I like to call all of the necessity stores, but not luxury stores like Costco, Winco, Albertsons, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, DMB Supply, Boot Barn, and a ton of others. One area where shopping and dining are clustered in Nampa is right here around the Karcher exit and Interstate 84. For those of you who don't know, in Idaho, we have two different seasons. We have the winter season and we have construction season. It seems like 90% of the year you are driving around the area and you're either dodging construction workers or traffic cones or road close signs, partially because of the growth of the area, but also just maintenance. I tell you what, when you're driving around and you have an appointment to get to, and then you come up to a road close sign and you have to take a 3-mile detour to get around it, and you end up being late for your appointment, it does get pretty annoying. And it always seems like they never put enough of a warning, like further up the road, like, you know, the road's closed up here, so you might want to take a detour to go around. Typically, it seems like they just throw up a sign right when the road's closed, and it's like, thanks for the heads up. But I'm sure some of you hear that and you hear the dinner bells ringing, which is 100% true. There is a huge construction industry, not only in Nampa, but in the entire Boise area. And we've got some huge companies here that employ thousands like Knife River, ESI, and so many more. One thing that I've been told, and I don't know this for a fact, but Idaho finances its road construction much differently than many other states like California. For instance, if there's a road in California that needs to be rebuilt, California is just going to take out a big loan to pay to have that road built. On the other hand, in Idaho, we don't take out any loans to build our infrastructure up. We only use our tax revenue and money that we've saved. So there are some pros and some cons looking at that. One of them, it takes a little bit longer to get our roads built, but at the same time, we don't have any debt brought on by building up the infrastructure. Nampa is home to a host of K through 12 schools, from public schools to private and charter schools. Nampa is even home to a handful of colleges like the College of Western Idaho and Northwest Nazarene University. If you want to check out reviews for schools in Nampa, I definitely go over to niche.com, and they've got all the ratings that you're looking for. What do you think? Are there more pros than cons about living in Nampa, Idaho? I need you to do is down in the comments below, let me know which things are pros for you and which things would be cons. And it not only helps me, but it also helps other viewers watching the videos to see what other viewers' opinions are on what things are pros and which are cons. And be sure to watch out for future pros and cons videos that I have coming up, like Caldwell and Meridian. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to give this one a watch right here. And until next time, I'm Isaac Crace with Top Idaho Real Estate, your third generation Idaho Realtor.